Oh, yeah! Happy Comic Book Day, and thank you to Bad Mary for that too sweet play-in. Welcome all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is U.S. Comics Cast, Chapter 2, Episode 24, Two Topics, 60 Minutes for the People. Of course, I'm John Rivera, the CEO and co-founder of U.S. Comics. Charmed, I'm sure.
And that makes me your co-host, your co-founder, the COO of U.S. Comics Captain Boom Boom, the hybrid panda, your Long Island IC, Charlie Rivera, my dear brother. How are you today, sir? Happy Comic Book Day.
Happy Comic Book Day to you, Charlie's. Maybe at this point we need to start referring it to Happy Loki Day. But all I can say to you, Charlie, is what's up with Loki?
Oh, man, I'm up. All right, first and first, mostly, let's just get this out of the way. Didn't like episode 1. I thought after how well done Falcon and the Winter Soldier so far has the title for like best episode 1 of a limited series for me. It's a very specific title.
That may be the craziest thing that you said in the show thus far, and you have said some clinically crazy shit.
You know, I everything about it, I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought they spent the money. The first episode of Loki, compared to something like WandaVision, where you had no clue what was going on, the first episode of Loki was somehow episode 1 of a series, but also very much a clip show. Like, the whole first episode was do you remember what Loki did in these movies? Here you go.
Considering the exposition needed to catch you up to where Loki was. Because don't forget, Loki sidesteps out of the ongoing Marvel narrative well before they even started wrapping up anything that we saw with fucking Thanos, like kicking the bucket. So
100%.
It needed to do that.
Well, one could argue then WandaVision needed to hold your hand and they didn't. All I'm saying is
WandaVision couldn't have been further.
All right, did you executive produce Loki? This is the most offensive you've ever been of anything.
My job here is to correct crazy when I hear it, and my little the crazy alarm went off, much like the amazing Peter Parker Spider Sense, who you gave no further respect to last week. But
a fun follow-up. I actually have an official apology for Peter. Fuck you, Peter. You social climbing douche.
That's not an apology
Felt like
at all.
An apology.
It's not just my shirt that's making me this red. I am literally this furious at you right now. WandaVision required none of that going in because they didn't step into like a
all right.
on the previous last time you saw Wanda.
They made different choices. All I'm saying is
you're the one that's comparing the two.
I tuned in because it fucking is okay to compare shit that's in the same online digital format.
2 shows back. All right, so let me hear what else
I'm saying is the first episode
didn't like about the
first episode, while a perfectly fine episode, did nothing for me. Like them being like, the Infinity Stones don't always matter. I was like, all right. Like, there was nothing about that first episode. Owen Wilson didn't even do his signature sound effect, so I was right away disappointed. I thought everything
I thought that was Melissa Villaseñor. That was Owen Wilson they got for this shit?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. But
they really open up the old Marvel wallets. See, I want to, let me just jump in.
Yeah, please do, as I'm sharing
manifest destiny of subjects like Charlie likes to do. I gotta say, it wasn't I didn't come out of the experience like giddy, so to speak. It took me a little time to process. I had the luxury of having another comic book nerd that I could bounce the thoughts off. So I got taken down off of the ledge a little bit. At first, though, that moment, and we'll throw this up, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the first episode of Loki, you're in the wrong fucking place because you need to be on your game if you're gonna chill with the Rivera boys.
That's right. I'll put up the warning. I'll do it. I'm not afraid of a little spoiler warning in effect.
Nice. But I had that moment where I kind of like sat back on the couch and crossed my arm. I was like, man, John doesn't like this because and I did make the automatic connection with WandaVision. At this point, it was the Ralph Boner moment.
Oh,
I'm like,
you were just like,
awesome. So now you're fucking with me even further. So all of the caring that I had to do through that whole first fucking phase of the, Infinity Stones this, Infinity Stone that. Do I get the replica that's electronic that can wiggle its figures by itself? Or do I get the Iron Man version replica? Do I get the one that's like a little bank and I can put my little change from getting a little, Ganepa man around the corner? I got really triggered with that.
You want me to snap without a gauntlet? How dare you, Loki?
No, like you're telling me that like all of this, literally all of this dying, all of this torture that the characters that you've made us care about went through was for nothing because those are like trinkets. Those are like pieces of shit. That's like fake. Fake coins that you get when you're in the Caribbean on vacation and stuff like that. Well, it's sunken treasure, and then you go to to Rick's fucking pawn shop in Las Vegas. And he's like, sorry, the best I can do is $10. That shit's fake. And then you're like, you bald bastard, I'll fucking kill you. I'll kill you and Chumley. Sorry. I've been watching a little bit of Pawn Stars lately.
I can fucking tell.
But that did fade away. Ultimately, I was like, thought, you know what? Because of the timeline situation, and you do get cast-offs, so to speak, with that narrative that they were telling us. You know what? That's okay. And specifically, there was, it is canon that when you have something of magical, magical abilities that enters into a timeline that's not of its own, a reality that's not of its own. It doesn't have its own. I loved
from that first episode. The one thing I did love was the world building. Again, unfortunately, it's like that first episode. That first episode specifically, it's not wildly. I don't want to say it's not wildly original because that implies everything has to be.
Of course, it is. It's got no IP compared to everything else we've gotten.
Of course, but what I mean is like we've seen the like new old tech, like they're old timey, but they're kind of futury. Everything about that first episode that
just like the aesthetics he's talking about, the 60s
just like,
aesthetics.
Yeah, it's and again, it's one of those situations where there was nothing. I did not watch that first episode with my
there was
arms crossed.
There was a little bit of Umbrella Academy aesthetic going on to that particular their particular offices. But I also didn't mind that whatsoever, especially coming out of like a Stephen King world mentality. Like,
again,
the 60s is where technology just locks. It's like things are pretty technical, but like also as well as they're bright fucking orange or like avocado green and stuff like that. I don't mind that.
I will say there's like an episode 2 reveal of a jacket where I love the TVA like logo. Like that's one of those dumb things that I'm like, I want a shirt with that. When I saw Loki's jacket, he gets in episode 2. I'm like, I want that. Like that is, I want to be like Bizarro.
I got news for you, Charlie. You are definitely gonna get that, be wearing that jacket in some reality because you are fucking trouble. I gotta say this, and to not to play the opposite side of the chessboard.
I mean, you're doing a great job, but
I do like to be right.
Goddamn variant.
I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed that first episode. Really, the only speed bump for me was like, oh yeah, the fucking Infinity Stones don't mean shit.
All that important shit, fuck you.
Yeah, but again, it was rectified quickly. It was one of those things. Jack Tripper walks into the wrong apartment, and hilarity ensues just for a little while. But I do have to say this: there were 2 things in particular. I'll call it 3. I'll be generous. I very much like the concept of the show now.
Yeah,
and the very, very opening going into it, I thought, okay, well, this is just going to be transitional to a multiverse situation. It's timeline situational. It's not multiverse situational. but that's totally fine.
Well, it's not
So I quickly
multiverse
got on
yet.
board. Well, no, but obviously we know that that's
Yeah.
where the Marvel world is going. But I'm saying I thought this would be that transition, but
Yeah.
clearly it's not. However, there were two things that really struck home for me. I was like, yes,
In
I
episode
got
one,
on board in
or
episode
just in
one.
general?
In episode one, I got on board quickly with the concept of the show. I was like, great, this is what we're gonna be doing every week. The fucking DB Cooper stuff. Oh man,
That right there.
I am conspiracy theory central. I love shit like that.
What
I'm not
was-
watching Ancient Aliens. I'm watching like the Time Life series of like, did you know about blah blah blah? I fucking loved it. The DB Cooper mystery is legitimate. Like they still don't fucking know.
But what I found so gloriously masturbatory about that was they made sure bills wound up in the air. Because like
course,
that's
because
like a central
Bills
part,
ended up money showed up on
but
the
it would
waterfront.
be such an easy thing to fuck up, and they made sure that not only was it a couple bills, it was like a findable amount of bills. What I loved about that first episode was just because, again, I didn't love that first episode, but what I did take away from it was
what I loved about it, I didn't love it.
Well, no, what I loved about it was clearly coming from, once again, this is the third Marvel series on Disney Plus that clearly has people behind the scenes who are absolutely in love with the character or characters and in love with the project they're doing. And I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but we've all seen a billion movies where people really wanted to be making something else. We watched,
but those are trash people. Those are people who don't have. Look, if you, I'll put this out. I wish we had a graphic for like fucking broad sweeping statement because this is about to be.
I'll make one. Add to my list.
Nice. If you are in the arts, simultaneously not doing something that you love, you are wasting your time. Because the arts in any capacity, whether it's show making like this, movie making, theater, writing, short story form, long story form, fucking podcasting, comic books, whatever the case might be, if you're just in the arts for your paycheck, you're a fucking jerk. You're a jerk. Because, Burger King is hiring and they make plant-based shit too. So you literally have no excuses. What the fuck are you doing? Before I forget my thought, though, the other thing that I particularly fucking loved about that first episode, they reached their Marvel steely hands into my cold, frozen, emotionless chest and cracked me open like they were gonna hand love my heart and get it started again, because much like Game of Thrones had me fucking shipping for Brienne of Tarth and Torment Giantsbane, I am shipping hard right now, and I don't think you know where I'm going. Well, I'll throw it out. Do you have a particular relationship that you see developing on the show that you're waiting, that can't wait to happen?
I mean, the one I'm looking forward to is the TVA agent of Loki. There's just like, for me, them like
I forget her number.
I forget her number too. But them like not liking
maybe
her, just hating his guts.
Well, if he had seen her on Lovecraft Country, he would not be wasting any time, because that woman can get down, son. That's not bad. It's not bad. It's not great. A little obvious, but it's not bad. In particular, because clearly Loki can go in any romantic direction, considering that he is gender fluid. That's canon, dum-dums. Loki is gender fluid.
Don't even get me started.
Stop.
How dumb people are.
They're just dumb. We'll acknowledge that. But my shipping wish of wishes is fucking Miss Minutes, the little animated clock that walks our boy through the introduction, and none other than Jurassic Park's very own Mr. DNA. We use dinosaur DNA.
Tara Strong voicing anything. I would fight the DNA strand because Tara Strong is.
You're not going to win, bro.
I know
You're not going. If he can pull blood out of a fucking ancient mosquito and spit out a goddamn raptor,
Is this
you
about
ain't
to get
got
sexy?
shit. Yeah, yes, it is. We're not shipping just for funsies to hold hands walking down the fucking the main way at the carnival. No, we're gonna get down. I want Miss Minutes and Mr. DNA to get down. And just can you imagine the adorable animated babies that they would pop out?
Just a
Ay,
bunch
Dios
of
mío.
stopwatches with little DNA chains.
Whatever, man.
All
I'll love them no matter what they look like.
just so we at least talk a little about it, because it is hot off the presses. Episode 2.
Yeah.
If I had anything that I didn't love or any reasons to like be not all the way, episode 2 was like, hey Charlie,
It's
knock
going.
knock, dummy, it's on. So
That was
one
me.
thing,
That was me at Uendo.
damn it, I knew it. You should have
Come
come
down.
in, man. That's a long drive. Episode 2 was fantastic. Loki at his Lokiest. We had the big reveal of the
B-15, by the way.
I'll call it. Thank you. Oh, B-15 is gonna get got. I guarantee by one of the Lokis. There's a Hulk Loki. There's a blue elf Loki.
Yeah. I don't care if it's male Loki, female
Viking,
Loki,
female Loki.
in between Loki, whatever. Likey,
But-
Loki, whoever.
The same. What I loved though was just everything about that episode, from like the costume design to Lady Loki's crown, straight out of the most recent Loki, with it's missing the
little
one
horns.
horn.
Oh, I love it.
Absolutely spectacular. And also two things I didn't see coming out of that episode. One, her plan is excellent. Like when trying to like figure out what she was trying to do, and then she does it, and it's like, I'm gonna fuck up the timeline in multiple spots. Good luck, TVA. Eat this fucking clamshell. But also having fella Loki, the Loki we kind of know and have grown up with, being like, all right, like just the notion.
It's beautiful that Loki is Lokiing so hard that we still, as viewers, were like, which fucking way is he going?
And now there's
Like, I still don't know what side he's on.
4 ways. He either was fucking with the TVA, which seems the most logical. He was, after he saw his mom get aced because he's a fucking dick and learning that his brother loves him, maybe he's trying to go babyface.
Nah,
Maybe
work.
because Lady Loki out Loki'd him, he's like, time to fall in line and be a good Loki soldier. Or is it that he's like gonna try to out Loki his Lady Loki counterpart? Or I just thought of the 5th. Is he like, this is a good plan, I'm gonna fuck this bitch up and I'm gonna take credit for it because Loki,
Ultimately, I am in the camp of, even amongst Lokis, still wants to be the top Loki.
still wants to be the king
So
Loki.
like right and wrong, mischief versus madness, like you can factor in all of those, all of that alliteration that you want. I think that ultimately it's hubris. That's what this hour Loki is all about. He's not motivated by anything more than that. And when those little emotions kind of creep in on him, it's almost like an irritation. It's like he's got the flu for a couple of weeks. He's fucking annoyed with his these emotions, son of a bitch.
I would love, again, generally speaking, like anti-hero is so boring because that just, your motivation is your
He's
motivation.
not an anti-hero. No.
Well, but again, it's like people, anytime a character, we talked about it last week, a lot of times villains are far more interesting than their hero counterparts.
Almost
and then
always.
the problem that happens is then you get at least 2 films where fucking Venom is like, I'm a good guy. Be like, oh, you're not interesting at all. The flu scenes are the only scenes I like in that fucking first Venom movie. Because when
I don't even think of that Venom movie. It was,
dude, it like haunts me. It haunts me because of like the easy directions they could have gone and didn't. But I digress. Just because I don't want this to go on too much longer. The amazing thing about Loki right now for episode 3, and I think it's the best way this show can go, is I truly have no fucking clue what Loki's ultimate goal is, except he has one. And in story,
or where the like, maybe like you were gonna say, where the story is gonna take us.
it's
Right, because ultimately we just know that this is a step sideways in the narrative that we've gotten thus far. So it really is about as freeing as anything can be in storytelling. You know, like when we examine kind of what Marvel has done so spectacularly, more than anything else. And I don't care about like, well, I do like this character, I don't like this character, I like this actor, I don't like that actor, blah blah blah. Oh, the sequel is whack, but the third one was good, and whatever. That's all arbitrary. Ultimately, you cannot deny that the most difficult thing that any long form storytelling like that can do is tell a story over X amount of entries, whether it's a show or movies or what have you. And where does that leave you? So you say, okay, well, we can do like a Black Widow situation. We'll take you back before you met her,
Take
and that
her back.
ongoing. Or we could say
do.
we could take you to 2050. Like we know that this big ass storm is coming in the future. Gonna be watching the clock on that one.
I'm also watching Roxxon. Fucking way to pull into the depths of companies from Marvel, for fuck's sakes.
But also, as well as they found a way to go sideways, right, in their story arc, which is fucking phenomenal. Then one might argue, well, that's all well and good, and it might be short term entertaining, but ultimately we're gonna end up to where we're familiar. Except if your fucking actual story is about changing timelines, in which case you could be wherever the fuck,
dude.
right?
Like
because
literally
this laughed in Doc Brown's face when he's drawing like the one fucking chalk. He's like, "Wow, when you talk to your mother, you did this." Dude, you know how many people's fucking photos are becoming translucent right now? They're like, "Oh, Johnny, be good."
Even worse than that, how many people's moms are trying to bang their own kids without realizing it? It is gross humping central. But
not going to the enchantment under the sea dance.
I think
thank you.
I think the most important thing to remember is ultimately it boils down to Loki. What?
Go ahead. You already stepped on it.
We stepped on what?
Go, please finish your thought.
I was gonna say that bastard Loki, be it with testicles or without, is a liar. Just like that horrible.
I'm sorry, alert. I'll ignore you now.
Well, I mean, I was supposed to introduce Loki, and you took
Actually,
that.
you weren't, but it's fine.
We literally talked about it. Hey,
George Lucas was a liar because Han shot first. Clink.
Choke on your drink. Choke on your drink, you son of a bitch. Choke.
Oh, you Loki motherfucker. Wow.
I am the younger brother. If one of us was going to be Loki, it would be I'm portly Loki. You didn't see him in episode 2, but he's there. He was just grabbing a burger. My dear brother, you are first.
Yeah.
I hate you. I hate you.
Go ahead and start my time.
Boop. Like a real
Thank you.
Boop, a little tiny one.
So you know what really hurts?
Tell me now.
Hurts? Not when you do an extra mile and you rip like a 32 top layers off the back of your ankle. That hurts a little. What really hurts is when you wear a Dynamite Wild Stallion shirt for your little baby brother and he goes and steps all over your face. But it's okay because where you're looking for wild things, it's not just around any old corner. If you're looking for wild things, you got to go to the damn Savage Land. And when you're talking about the Savage Land, there's only one fucking guy that comes to mind first mostly.
Tarzan.
And I'll fucking Tarzan you to death. I will bury you next to Cheetah, you fucking banana eating motherfucker, you. No, it is Ka-Zar. Ka-Zar. Like Charlie flirted with death a moment ago. Ka-Zar is, I wouldn't, to say that Ka-Zar is Marvel's Tarzan is, it's like a sophomoric, left on the fucking the bus station bench like Charlie was several times, take on things. No, when he first came to the world of Marvel, Ka-Zar, the Lord of the Savage Land, was really more of like a king of the jungle / almost caveman type thing. Like to compare him to a Thor or a Conan or something like that, like a more of a barbarian. That would not be the case. He was a man of the land. He was a man of the jungle, raised by a large cat to ward off the 8 beasts that were coming to get him. Ironically, it just goes to show you that all societies can work together, because even though he was raised by a large saber cat and protected from the man apes that wanted to wipe his ass out, his actual name is a man ape name. So it just goes to show you, can we all come together?
Kevin Plunder could be the worst made up name. Like, if he went to the DMV, I'd be like, bitch, were you raised by a cat? This name is bullshit.
It's like Lord Plunder, because his English, highbrow parents, like, oh, England, yeah, who plundered more than fucking England?
That's true.
Colonials, some motherfuckers.
His name was almost Steve Raped Families. That's how fucking colonial his asshole name is.
Hi, my name is Bob. I live in your house now. Get out. Oh, cool. So it's political commentary. Oh, I see.
Oh man.
So we got anyone who's unfamiliar with Ka-Zar, like Charlie was about 3 hours ago before I told them my topic. So Ka-Zar came to the world of Marvel very early, right? His interactions, I think X-Men 10 was his entree.
That sounds right.
And there was actually a Ka-Zar prior, but they're not related whatsoever, right? So there's just like, it's one of those namesakes. It's like Charlie Boom Boom Rivera. We also have a Boom Boom, and I know in my personal life a Boom Boom. Sometimes that just happens. But so he's been around a long time. Now, my personal love affair, in the late 80s, early 90s, when the X-Men were chilling in the Savage Land, like, just the regular day-to-day destroying tanks and being the stand-up against racism, the correlations, teaching little kids lessons and what have you. When they had their fill of that, they went on down to the Savage Land, and there are dinosaurs fucking running around, and just blonde dudes with perfectly coiffed hair. When I first started getting into the comic book
dinosaurs and pomade. That's what they have in the Savage Land.
A lot of people don't know pomade is actually what wiped out the dinosaurs. They're like, oh, it's a meteorite. Oh no, it was climate change. No, it was fucking. It was pomade. It was Dapper Dan. A lot of people didn't know. That's why Dapper Dan is off the market. Yeah, I'm a Dapper Dan man, motherfucker. All right, doesn't matter. We're crossing references. But yeah, so I got
a pop culture migraine.
Yeah,
that was
the
timeline
like Rocky
Loki.
4.
Just a bunch of fucking variants.
So
I'm a Dapper Dan, man.
So my connection with Mr. Loincloth and the comb over goes back in the day. Now, this is one of those characters, and it's ironic for me at least, because I am so anti bringing characters back. Right? If a character is fucking dead, if
let him be dead.
There, let the brother rest. Hasn't he done enough?
Yeah.
He's been running around with a loincloth. He's been running around with his blonde locks. Hasn't had conditioner in it for like months. Like, he's been through some stuff. And interestingly enough, for a guy just in a diaper, he has thrown down with some of the biggest fucking threats that Marvel has been able to throw his way. And he's come out just fine until the very end when he didn't. And I thought, you know what? Good for you. Good on you, my friend. Job well done. Rest in peace. Nope. Because he's coming back.
That's so awesome. I also think that's one of those characters. And just a shout out, as always, our chat section across YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. Cadillacs and dinosaurs and pomade. Oh my, dare I say. I would absolutely sign up for a remix of that song. You know what's really cool about this particular character? Again, when a company is as successul as Marvel has been in the movie industry, and now
Marvel
on the
movies,
touche, and the now Marvel TV, you sometimes need properties that are wildly different. And Ka-Zar is one of those cats, and the Savage Land, specifically, Jurassic Park can't make a fucking good Jurassic Park movie anymore. Time for Marvel to swoop in. Like, let's get a Brontosaurus and the fucking Flintstone slide. It's such an, in a sea of characters right now, he'd be so wildly unique. Like this is a character that we had. When was the last time we had someone chilling with dinosaurs that wasn't like a clone of them or whatever the fuck Jurassic World 34 did? I'm super excited. And it's
Mr.
not a
DNA is back again, kids.
This is the recoil.
I agree. This is a character. There's not a version of him like a spin-off or a derivative character. Like he is it. You know, he is really it. I mean, we can maybe get him a shirt at this point just to mix it up a little bit, but you know, you get killed by an alien, typically you think, well, that's the check, please. I'm buried now. But nope. They
gotta show off that scar. Gotta show off that scar. I just think in comics in general, whenever you talk about, you know, again, it not to make everything a little bit about Superman, but what's always weird to me is that like people mistake boring writing for being unable to write Superman. The reason Superman, in my opinion, isn't as wildly successful of a comic anymore is because everyone's trying to do shit with him to like make him interesting, when the most interesting thing is that he's fucking Superman. You know, we've yet to have a comic, at least to my knowledge. Comment section, let me know if I'm wrong. Let us know even after the show posts.
He's wrong.
We keep having like Superman stop bank robberies, and we've yet to have that issue where a bank robbery is happening and Superman shows up and they're like, whoa, our bad, we fucking quit. And you could do such interesting things with these characters. So it's nice about
interesting things, not that exact thing, because that's not what wouldn't be particularly very interesting.
I think it could be.
Oh, we give up. This fucking issue was like 2 pages long.
But then
and the first page was just an advertisement.
No, I know you're mostly trying to be hilarious and mission accomplished, but also as well as you could have the whole like Superman's also like not a piece of shit. Now these people are definitely going to fucking jail. You know, you don't get kind of arrested by Superman without showing up in jail, and their lives are fucking ruined.
Like a Law and Order-esque issue.
I just think even
just this is your pitch. You have the elevator to yourself with the muckety mucks of DC, and Charlie's like, folks,
I don't need 5 years on Action Comics to drop an intro. I'm talking about a 1-issue story. I think it would be very fucking interesting, to be totally honest. But my point is, it certainly would be more interesting than someone else going like, what if it's Superman, but like he turns bad? Shut the fuck up. Like, shut the fuck up. You have a billion fake Superman.
Person that came up with like, oh, but bad Superman, that's great. That is literally great. It's the 45th, the 46th, the 47th version of that same story. We like, dude, are we paying you? I hope we're not paying you at this point. But no, I understand. Like you and I personally have to be careful of that. Also, where like you have a character that's established in any capacity, even short term, and then you read a book and you're like, that didn't really do it for me. It's not the character's fault. I'm not going to victim shame. That's not like, well, look what Superman was wearing. No, motherfucker. He didn't write that story himself. Charlie wrote the story where the guys in the bank gave up when they saw the little
I'm telling you, I'm going to write this fucking treatment, and you're going to cry. You're going to cry by the 21st page, you piece of shit.
I'd be crying if it makes it 21 pages. Like, there's no fucking way. There's no way.
You're a bastard. One of our wonderful human beings, fan of the show, he works with us on U.S. Comics properties, but Ellis throughout, there's a comic where Plastic Man pretends to makes himself look like a shadow of Batman, and the bad guys give up. And that's clever as fuck. The worst thing you do with Plastic Man is be like, what if it's Plastic Man with guns? That's my only point. So with Ka-Zar, the most interesting thing you can do is put him in his fucking environment and let him fucking romp with stories. Like, it doesn't makes sense to go against, like you said before, there's not really a lot of derivatives of him specifically. So the best thing is
No.
lean in. Same with, again, not to double back, but the best sort of Loki stories are stories where Loki acts like fucking Loki. And what I'd be most interested is to see him in the Savage Land, fucking romping around, having his Savage Land adventures. Now, is there
Ka-Zar, you mean, not Loki, right?
because I mean, I if that's where this fucking show goes, sure.
If that's the fucking the 2021 Marvel crossover event that we get, I'm coming straight to your house, bro. And I'm not knocking on the window this time. I'm knocking on the door.
What do you specifically want to see out of it, or is it just getting him back in the kind of public zeitgeist? Because I think people would like read this announcement if you put up a Ka-Zar poster tomorrow. No one's gonna be like, I know who exactly that is. Like,
well,
he is.
You do kind of, just aesthetically speaking.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Not like, oh, look at Ka-Zar fucking running around in furry diapers.
What is that guy?
He's a lawyer. Oh, you're dead to me. You're dead. Like
one brain.
This is. I need the TVA to show up here because my variant is running around on Long Island right now, and Owen Wilson or Melissa Villaseñor, whichever version of you that gets here first, I need you to look into this Charlie motherfucker. My God, can I have my brain back? I really, really need it.
I've been hiding in plain sight the whole time. I'm the girl version of John. Just same thick beard. Again, but that's what I mean is like, the same way that Iron Man was not a top tier character.
Not at all. No.
Do you think Ka-Zar can have that sort of rise? I certainly. Kids love dinosaurs.
Here's the thing. I can see it playing out this way. First mostly, like our boy Nick Kroll says. Ghosts. No, sorry. First and foremost, it's already been announced this is a limited series. So while I am getting my Ka-Zar back and my instant nostalgia from like that, my golden era of X-Men books, I know that I don't have him for the long stay, right? He packed an overnight bag of furry diapers. He didn't pack, like a big rolling case.
He's like, I got a 12 pack. Let's do this.
He's not going to be around a long time. However, if this is our re-entry into the Savage Land proper, then I'm all for it because there's just so much Brontosaurus meat on the bone. Kind of stories that you can take down. What's very interesting is when. The Marvel stories from that period of time, they were very socially conscious. So even when I was reading it on a more immature level, I know it's kind of redundant because I'm very immature now, but when I was reading it as a junior, my thought, I had that colonialism is bad concept, given to me by the folks over at Marvel because. Yeah, granted, you had to every once in a while run away from a saber-toothed tiger, or maybe you got a T-Rex chasing your ass. There was even occasionally a couple of oh God, what the fuck is his name? Like the pterodactyl people. There was some shit going on in the Savage Land, but they were dealing with it, right? Because Ka-Zar had shit on lock. He was even throwing it down occasionally. However, when the door, the gates opened up, and all of a sudden. All of these familiar Marvel characters kind of showing up, and all of a sudden now it's like the fucking French Riviera. They're going down to do to summer in the Savage Land. It was like issue after issue after issue, no pun intended. So that being said, I very much would like to see where a creative writer and we're getting this limited series from Zach Tyson, who he did Yondu, he did Age of X-Men. Again, clearly capable hands that you're giving this world over to. So while this is going to be admittedly a limited series, I do hope that we're going to get now a more, more ongoing regular dose of Savage Land because it's just great storytelling.
Yeah, what's great too about these, I mean, look at what Loki's limited series did just a few years ago. And again, that was a little reverse. It's Loki got popular because of the movies, and they were like, let's. But that printing press kind of works both ways. Sometimes you test the waters with a really good limited series. A lot of times, especially nowadays, the nerds are somewhat the vanguard of what's next. If you can prove it in a small pond, then you can extend that pond, because right now with comics,
the nerds are bullies. Is the truth of it? They're like, no, give it to me now. Fucking bunch of Veruca Salts running around out there.
But I want the Savage Land now, Daddy.
Little bitch, I'll throw you in the choke of fucking river right now. You shut the fuck up.
I just think, I just think it's a great way to test the character, especially we're about to have a lot of guys in their furry draws out there. He-Man's going to be back, and it's a big push. He's getting 2 series. So when you talk about, like, visually, you're like, I get it. These are close enough, right? They're both blonde. They're both rocking fur. There is something to be said about, like, you don't want your similar character just being obsolete. You want to remind people, like, we got one of them too. Don't buy that one. Buy Supreme, and then no one does. I'm just excited for the world that Marvel exists in. Is so interesting because they're like, Manhattan is Manhattan, just wacky shit happens, but also Savage Land, which is fucking awesome. You know what I mean? It's like they're like
they have story arcs in Marvel where, like, somebody's getting a ticket on page 12 because they blocked the box. Like, you can't stop your car at an intersection in Manhattan, bro. That's a $60 ticket, and that they have. But then, like, 2 issues later, they're fucking running away from a T-Rex. And they're like, one lace is untied. I'm like, shit, I can't stop. If I fucking stop, this Tyrannosaurus motherfucker's going to eat me alive. Good Lord. And, all of a sudden, the DMV doesn't have as much sway over your decision making. That's just reality.
I would also really love to see some of these characters that are I mean, again, bringing the stuff from the comics to live action there's always the risk they'll fuck it up. But I would love to see the current Captain America just be like, la-ta-ta, where am I going? What's the place called? Savage Land. What did you fucking dinosaur?
Yeah.
Like,
people
Anthony.
Why? I'd rather go to the moon. Send me to the moon. Fucking Savage Land? Are you joking? And I don't even have my shield? Cool.
There's something so exciting about, like, what would they do with this shit? Live action. Just because in the comics, the reason I'll always love comics and I'll always pick up an interesting looking comic is because the world is, you can have 75 fucking dinosaurs on a page and it ain't shit. Like, we got green ink for days. But then the notion of, like, they're gonna fucking bring, or even like What If now. If What If gets a second season, get the fuck out of here.
Wide open door. Just real quick, I know that Charlie loves when we do this, but I do want to throw it to the chat for a minute because Ellis, in his infinite wisdom, fucking threw out that he wants to see our a renewal of Thunder the Barbarian. Thunder the Barbarian. Anyone who doesn't know,
that's a deep cut.
There was a group of superhero type characters from the good folks at Hanna-Barbera. And obviously we always think of them in like one capacity or another, but everything from fucking Blue Falcon and it was their cast of characters was basically, it looks like the same 8-year-old that was watching Bugs Bunny 5 minutes ago. It's like, yeah, I can make superheroes too. And then we just like came up. Thunder the Barbarian is like if Conan woke up on the fucking Millennium Falcon because he had like a robot Wookiee Chewbacca, and also he had like a fucking barbarian sword, but was also as well as like energy / laser sword. Like, what's going on, bro? What's going on? The only thing that was somewhat realistic was they had like a 19-pack because all he ate was protein. No fucking body on Thunder the Barbarian was having salads with their meals. They were like, Saber-tooth tiger barbecue? You got it.
Literally had
the
all
Herculoids,
of the...
yes, Paul, yes.
Paul throwing out Herculoids. My head is going to explode.
There's nothing better than a woolly mammoth / snork that shoots out fucking lava cannonballs out of his face. Yeah, no, that's entertaining for the kids. They're really coming away with something on that.
Who is the Danny DeVito looking caveman with the cape? Who
Captain
is that guy?
Caveman?
Captain Caveman.
Captain Caveman!
I want to see that like team up movie. I just all like, but
That
bring
was-
out Conan.
That was their Justice League in essence. It was just ridiculous. It was
Terrible.
Just ridiculous.
Laser
But I
swords
loved
for
every
everyone.
minute of it.
You know
Yeah,
what?
oh, yeah.
Because things don't, I've been telling you this for years, things don't have to be good to be great. Like there is a certain, if you told me
Clearly, we're examples of that.
Captain Caveman starring Danny DeVito this summer, be like, yeah, make that shit a trilogy.
Yeah, I mean,
Make it a trilogy
you would just
now.
have to figure out how he could wear a top hat because every one of Danny DeVito's best performances, his greatest roles, he has a top hat at one point or another. But before my time completely evaporates, I got to ask you, Charlie, going against our fundamental tenet, because we're not talking about U.S. Comics properties here, but who's the one character who we haven't yet seen resurrected, who you wouldn't mind opening the book and seeing on the splash page? And I don't care about capacity. It could be in a throwback story. It could be like this just looks like this person, maybe a Loki or similar type of personality. Fucking with somebody. Satana's like, oh, look who it is. Well, it's really me. Whatever the case might be. Just somebody we haven't seen since they were put on the ground who you'd like to see again.
My God, who's left? Like, I do not need to see the amazing Spider-Ben because I feel like that would be the well. Do you have some in front of you? Can you name? I feel like everyone's come back. Like Alfred's he's dead right now, but he's gonna come back. And like, you know what's fucked up with Alfred is like, there's interesting things you could do with that sword. And it's so
Alfred's
corny.
A badass.
Some of the shit I want is so corny because I'm like, Alfred doesn't have like a daughter who could show up. Like we're just saying Alfred wrapped it every time. Like if you let poor Alfred rest. He doesn't have an uncle, a cousin, a brother, someone to do a similar role in an interesting way. Or like the crazy AI Alfred that was running around for a while. I can't really think of anyone who's the Eradicator. I don't.
Nah, he's trash. Come on.
I don't want first mostly best costume.
Trash.
Ever.
He's garbage. Fucking you. He looks like he's wearing 90s volleyball.
Yeah.
Visors on. And
Thus
like that.
awesome.
The loudest voices actually have been clamoring for fucking Ben Reilly again. They want Scarlet Spider.
They just like the hoodie because it's fat boy friendly.
Dude, it is fat boy friendly. It looks like he's fucking Laura Branigan. He's a maniac. I hate that costume. If he comes back,
that is my favorite Spider-Man costume.
I'd rather see him in fucking Ka-Zar's outfit than that terrible off-the-shoulder number.
But what if it's still like blue? It's like still a blue hoodie. He just wrapped around his crotch.
Whatever it is, like tuck it, tie it, whatever the case might be. No, what you end up seeing about more so are like these characters that have become mantles. So it's not that we have Ant-Man. We've got a few Ant-Men, so to speak, but we don't have Eric O'Grady.
Yeah.
Or like Captain Marvel, like maybe there's some more Marvel stories that can still be told, like kind of things in that capacity. Bill Foster they're throwing out here. Even fucking Jor-El. If you want to give me, and I don't care if it's in this capacity, like an Elseworlds capacity, or somebody. I know Smallville Charlie's alter.
Somebody
Nobody can save it. Nobody. It's that bad.
Don't matter how far we're going.
But I know you're a Reyes fan.
Yes.
For Blue Beetle. But if I said, "Oh, here's a fucking Cord story,"
I would. That's Ted Cord's a good call. Honestly, anytime the old versions of teams, I would love to see, and I'm sure some of those Southern Muckers are dead.
Teams are tough because then you have a lot of story telling and you have no time to character build.
But even if you just
see like an individual,
I wouldn't mind like a bot. Like again, not to break your concept, but if you were to throw out, a 2-issue miniseries about like an old version of the Guardians of the Galaxy that took place back when they were the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like that could be cool because so many people now know the lineup just from the flick.
Well, when we saw the original fucking crew in the cinematic version with Sylvester Stallone at the head of it, ooh, I shoved up so fast. It didn't make a difference that I had the Mr. Slushy cup still filled up. I was like, hey, hello.
I mean, if I'm allowed to throw it from comics to the movie counterpart, I absolutely Yondu. I would watch a Yondu flick tomorrow, like Yondu and Baby Star-Lord.
Yeah, but at that point, that would require someone of real talent because you couldn't just have Yondu being a douchebag, right? It would need to be. You know what that relationship would be? That would be like the original Dread Pirate Roberts with Wesley when he first got on the ship. Hey, good job there, fucking Earthling. I'll probably kill you in the morning. Like one of those situations. That might be good, but it would be important to show that he's not just one note. He's not just a douchebag for douchebag's sake. That he's being a douchebag to this fucking Earthling. He saved his life when he easily could have handed him right the fuck over. Some parallels. But he's deep down. He's got those kernels of goodness at least flowering up to the ultimate redemption that we did get. So yeah, I'd be all for that project.
And again, I jokingly said like a buddy cop film, but you have that whole crew to work with, or a version of the whole crew to work with. It could be a lot of fun.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Could be a lot of fun. Anyone stick out for you that you're just thirsty for?
Not really. Ka-Zar. So I'm happy.
Just Ka-Zar.
I'm a fucking Ka-Zar for everything.
Ka-Zar for everything, indeed. And that's great. What a wonderful way to end your time. Special shout out to my favorite comment. They just want to bring back Nick Fury from another dimension as David Hasselhoff. The Hoff as Nick Fury is absolutely.
Charlie is drunk as shit today. Holy cow.
Not only today, baby. Ever since Monday. That retirement party was fantastic. My dear brother.
Word.
We got to pay bills this and every week to keep the lights on, and my lights keep getting better. Easy for me to say. And this episode and all episodes.
I look like I'm sunburned, so I'm glad somebody's lights
of U.S. Comics would be impossible without our fine sponsors. And one of my absolute favorite sponsors is also one of my favorite bands. And that, of course, is Bad Mary. You can find them on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook at Bad Mary Band. You can support them financially over on patreon.com/Bad Mary. They do live streams. It's amazing. My favorite part about Bad Mary, though, is if you want to tune in and hear some of that lovely music they make, it can be found on each and every streaming service. So if you have just iTunes, Spotify, all of it, they're there. Bad Mary Band. They just returned to their very first live gig with more on the way. Absolutely worth your time. Check them out. Bad Mary, baby.
Yeah, they're worth checking out live for sure. Our other sponsor right here on Facebook Gaming, it's Sergeant Finesse. 2 streams a day minimum. Outstanding gaming content, supporter games, giveaways. He just gave away like a giant iPad yesterday. He does again, contests. Check him out today. Throw him a like, a follow. Consider becoming a supporter. If you need a pick me up, though, if you need a pick me up, go ahead and follow the White Rabbit down to sneakenergy.com. Use code SGT at checkout. If you're looking for some fresh new gear, and you want to make yourself real red, looks like you just came off of Jones Beach and it's 200 degrees out, go ahead over to geeksunleashed.com. Use code SARGE at checkout there when the Sarge is on deck. Yes, salute. GG, son.
My dear brother, start my time.
All right.
I gotta tell you, this whole Disney Plus thing of like old school TV where you get one episode, then you have to wait, and it's really good for them because, they get to be talked about for 5 or 6 or 7 weeks. Fuck that noise. The Netflix model is the Netflix model for a reason because it's the best model, right?
They don't give a fuck.
I literally, if something's good, I'm just going to say, hey, sleep, go fuck yourself. And that's what happened with me and Sweet Tooth. I know you told the people You told the people it was going to happen. You said it was almost impossible to fuck it up. And I personally think it is one of, if not the best Netflix series
Charlie's
that
in love, boy.
when I tell you a show has seldomly a show based on something I've previously loved, like the Sweet Tooth comic, it's hard to do something that maintains the core values and then like changes everything about the delivery. The moment I saw this beautiful little antlered kid, I was like, well, that's fucked up. I never thought of the world as like, that kid's not like, again, when you think of a term freak, the comic book version of Sweet Tooth, you're like,
He's a freak in
that
the
kid's
comic.
fucked up looking. That's
He'd be fucked up
wild.
without antlers and
Yeah.
the goofy ears that looks like he's a cab with the doors open driving down the street. Like he clearly is gonna have some issues in the playground, as illustrated in the Sweet Tooth comic. But yeah, I agree with you. When I first saw that trailer, the teaser trailer, I was like, this shit looks like he looks like he was lifted out of a Steven Spielberg movie. Like that was,
100%.
it was adorable. That kid.
Do you know the vibes I actually got? Of course, now I'm going to forget what was the Spielberg movie with the robot? I almost said it was AI. Thank you. When I like the trailer for AI, like everything was fucking beautiful, and then that movie sucked balls. Sorry, Steven. You fucking get to have a strike every now and then. But Sweet Tooth, I genuinely had some real concern. Like, yeah, it was produced by Robert Downey Jr., which I guess some people cared about, but like. Yeah. That doesn't mean, like, no offense to them, doesn't mean shit to me. It's not like there's a history of stuff they produced that's amazing.
The reason why they attach things like that, it's not just for like name dropping. The reason why they attach things like that is because RDJ at this point in his career, he only works with fucking
that's a good point.
Hitters.
He only gets out of bed for a W.
And especially if this is going to be his first like real foray, name top of the marquee situation that he's not in, or like an indie type thing, you know it's going to be a banger. So all of that, all of the information kind of just piled up, and that's why I was so confident walking in. Again, if there was a way, around the corner in AC that I could have put money on this show being a straight banger, being loved, I would have bet the fucking farm. Sorry, little mutant freaks. I know a lot of you live on that farm. I would have bet it, but comfortably, because that show is mwah, mwah.
You know,
I love being right.
But it's what I loved about that show is they really did a great job of just leaning into being whatever they were gonna be. Like, it seems like they started that adaptation and they were like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is the story. And then they just pieced everything together with the idea of like quality in mind. And I know that sounds really stupid, but looking at that teaser trailer, looking at the world, any particular frame looks like it could be out of a storybook. It looks like it could be a high budget kid show. And it's not
fantasy more than horror.
But it also doesn't look like, considering the content has so much gore and so much kind of viciousness, it looks like you could tell by the trailer that's not what they were doing. Except
unless they wanted to do the old switcheroo on you, and like
also
it's like
true.
When a horror movie does like start, there's nothing more peaceful, idyllic, jealousy inducing than the first fucking 10 minutes of a horror film, because
the first
everything is going right.
The first 5 hours at Camp Crystal Lake, someone hands you a beer. Some girl takes her top off. Yeah, every guy has 95 abs.
First 5 hours, the first 5 minutes, you're like, what cabin am I in? They're like, first slam this beer, then have sex on the lake, and then do a couple of bumps, and then we're gonna tell you a legend of where not to swim. But like, first do these other things. I'm sure it'll be very safe. I agree with you completely.
I want now the movie where it starts that way, but then like the person drinks so much so they have to go home, and they come back like 2 days later, and everyone's fucking super dead.
What the hell's going on? That's like when Sean woke up late and he's just like stumbling through the zombie apocalypse, like not paying attention to what's going on. No, I agree with you. And I do agree with you as well on Sweet Tooth. I did have that feeling though, at least that it was a possibility, knowing how dark, right? That's the only term that I'm gonna use for it. The comic series, and I love the comic series for what it is fucking dark. And there's probably no better example of that than Big Guy, right?
Yeah.
Fucking this mother.
That's
so
a bad motherfucker.
well, and here's the other thing, and the point I want to touch on if you don't get to it yourself.
Yeah.
But what they decided to do with him, they obviously made a few changes, few aesthetic changes. So in
Yeah.
the comic, he's a white guy.
Colorblind casting left and right.
He's not. Well, he's not a former football player. He's a former hockey player. So there was a certain mentality shift because he's basically the Punisher in the comic. He fucking does not play around.
With a magic coat.
He
He fucking got what you need.
man, he
I
will
wish I had a
fuck
9-volt
up
rechargeable battery.
somebody's day with fucking his intentions. But also as well as there was a little bit of Mandalorian before Mandalorian in this because he collects up our boy Gus to hand him over, and he fucking does. He actually has that Mando moment where he's like, "Yeah, you know what? Fuck this. Let me turn around and I'm gonna go get him back." And then the people that he just handed him over to, he ruins their day right and fucking left. But he's not like a very verbal person. He's dead serious fucking all the time. There's no. He's all rigid. He's
wonderful.
all angles. He's no soft edges. And the version in the show, which I prefer, has those soft things. We talked about this with Invincible, right?
Yes.
When you go into an adaptation project, loving the fucking IP, it's a slippery slope because you're like, I don't fuck this up, right? It's very tempting to have a Charlie attitude about it. Like I almost would rather them not adapt it because I love it as it is than to adapt it, fuck it up, and then make me now not like the source material, which is the fear, but never really happens. But Invincible was very much like that. I was like, God, please, especially in that case where it's animated. It's like, please just don't fuck this up. I love this so much. And they made changes, and I actually like it better. That's how I felt about Sweet Tooth. The changes that they made were improvements.
When you're able to love something so much that you can transcend the fear-based decision to change nothing, and instead you're like, let's make one change, or let's make 7 changes. Let's make 105 changes. Because what I was saying before, because I don't want to completely lose the thread, one thing Sweet Tooth does that I've never really seen done before is it is truly, and I have some friends with kids that have kind of tested out the theory, it's not a children's show, but it doesn't ostracize a child who may want to watch it. It is somehow able. It is able to be kind of consumed by everyone, and the decision to almost masquerade the violence. I'll give credit where credit's due. You're the one who even verbalized it for me. You said we're kind of seeing it from Sweet Tooth's point of view, not literally, but we're seeing the scope of the world from him. So it's like when there's clearly heads are getting busted, it's in a shadow, and I know what's happening. And I would argue, and I'm not saying every show should do it, because Invincible, I want to see people's jaws get ripped off. Live action or cartoon, like, hey, listen to me very carefully. I want to see jaws fucking torn off. But with Sweet Tooth, I was able to envision something far beyond, I think, what any good effect can do with some of those whoopings. This show filled me with we're still coming out of the COVID era, and it's something that's going to be a little bit in the background forever. But this show managed, despite all of its sadness and darkness, and a lot of negative things are being kind of reflected and showcased, it's still ultimately a very, very optimistic show. And I also wasn't really expecting that. And I don't know why. I think it's just because everything right now, it's so easy to be like edgy and like everything's fucking bad. It's going to stay bad. And I'm Batman.
Well, I get where you're coming. I think that probably is derived from the overall tone of the show, but like so the way the season ended, just in case anybody who's listening hasn't seen it yet,
Wait,
it ends
I'll throw up the warning.
it ends in a very much a similar place as like the first arc, like the first 12 issues maybe of the comic ends. So that's similar, kind of similar to like the way Game of Thrones did it,
Yeah,
right? Where the first season was the
everyone
first
died at a
book.
wedding.
Well, later on that happens, but no, my point is like it isn't overly optimistic. Like it ends on a fucking real downer in terms of like what's happening. You have a couple of moments like, oh, that's a sweet type thing, and you have like a rousing like, okay, let's go get them type thing. But very much so. God forbid that they don't make a second season. I have no doubt that they will because it's unbelievably
I'll have
popular
to
and
make it
well
with action
received.
figures because I
Yeah,
can't deal with it.
yeah, I'll help you out with the making of those. Um, no, but if we didn't get a season two, where it
I'm
fucking
Sweet
left off,
Tooth.
that's no, that's that compared even to the comic version is some goof from a goof. But my point was this: was that it's not optimistic in terms of like look at what's happening in the world. Isn't this so great? No, it's that you have shadow. You're always gonna have shadow, but when the world is mostly shadow, you can't focus on all that darkness, right? That would be the easiest thing to do, the courageous thing to do, and really ultimately the only thing you can do in order to survive is to look for that faraway light, to look for those possibilities, and that's what's so great. I do also have to say this, and I'm glad that you brought it up as a topic because um regardless, especially in an adaptation like this where you're getting a lot of a particular character, if your performers are not top notch, and I don't care if they're 10 or if they're 50 or if they're 100, if they're trashish, as the Sarge likes to say, then your project is fucked, right? It is proper fucked because it's going to take people out of the story. It's going to take people out of the moment. It's the reason why Stranger Things is so amazing. Because again, the Duffy brothers, they're not really giving us unheard of concepts. If anything, they're playing on our nostalgia buttons. But the young performers are just talented actors, and without that, so Good Omens is the opposite of that I can think of. Good Omens is IP that I fucking loved as much as you can love anything going in. And the performance is fucking Michael Sheen. I mean, the fucking cast was otherworldly. However, I was not a fan of the child actors. And it took what should have been a home run and made it like a lucky double, right? Like a double misplayed in outfield type of thing. Didn't get the ball in fast enough. And at least we got a runner in scoring position because it is Neil Gaiman, but I was expecting a home run. So you can be you can move the bar depending on your performers. The fucking young performers, in particular, the young gentleman that plays Sweet Tooth Gus himself, he's just a fantastic little actor. So it keeps you engrossed. You
And I
just want to see what's next.
and I don't know if it's just a situation where they're like working him like a puppet, or if it's just natural God-given gift, or if it's a ton of him just putting in the little kid work. There is nothing about that performance. And honestly, I feel that way about everybody, even some of the stuff that's a little bit more on the nose, even some of the characters that need to be in a pretty small bubble, even they're just like fucking they're doing their job, and they're doing an excellent they're doing excellent work.
There's nobody pulling focus for the wrong reason. There really isn't. There really isn't. It's just an overall
And it
beautifully
feels
crafted show. It
and it
really is.
feels like such a perfectly fleshed out world. You know, like having,
Yeah, it's real, right?
yeah, it's just like everyone, as pretentious as it may seem, and I doubt they did it literally, but everyone knows what they were doing before the outbreak. Everyone knows what their reaction to the babies were. Everyone knows how they're living now. There's no one doing there's no one who doesn't fully understand shit that we're never gonna see. Like
You're talking about the characters
the characters,
or the
yeah, and
performers?
the performers for their characters, and also the
Yeah.
people behind the scenes when they're putting together these scripts, when they're putting together the visuals of the world. Everything is such an informed decision. I mean, again, I made mention of it, but you know, big man having kind of what you need to survive. It's always like, because it lines up with what he needs. There's one moment where like the whole story could come to a screeching halt if he didn't have some shoelaces, because people need fucking shoelaces. And that's one of those things that I always hope for with like a post-apocalyptic story, is like you need to bring out something clever. Like, it can't always be gas and water. Like that, like there's
Oh,
there's
sure,
a bunch
sure.
of little world building things, like, oh fuck, I could use some those are nice boots, and he's not eyeballing the boots, he's eyeballing the laces. Is fucking genius. And there are so many moments in that show, just from like, not even beyond like enjoying the story, enjoying the performances, just enjoying some of those decisions. You're just like,
Yeah, but that's a Charlie thing. I think when people ingest that type of stuff, they do it like, they have their veggies, but it's because like the broccoli was diced up and hiding in some mac and cheese. So they had some good storytelling and world building fed to them, and they were like, that was good. But they thought like this mac and cheese is delicious. They didn't even realize they just sucked down a fair amount, like the daily dose of broccoli, like of good writing. Some of the things though that I don't want to be lost with the topic was some of the additions that they made. So there's certain things where like you adjust characters for one reason or another, but there are also situations where you add in characters for a specific purpose. And when you're walking in the door familiar with the IP and you're like, hey, I don't remember her, then all of a sudden, I don't, I particularly like it because it makes me pay closer attention, because I know you don't if you're writing a story, you don't fucking put a cup on the edge of a table for no reason. At some point, right? At some point, the aliens are gonna run through the house and knock off that fucking glass because the aliens are allergic to water. But you don't think about that until like, oh, an hour ago. That's right. They were giving her shit for putting the fucking cup on the edge of the table. That's what's going on when you're adding these characters. So Bear, even though they did lift her name,
yeah, Bear's a
she's new, and she's
reinvention. Yeah,
obviously for a very specific reason. Same thing with the zookeeper,
yeah.
what have you. I mean, the only character really that's been pretty much untouched in the translation has been Abbott. I mean,
Yeah.
he looks like it could have been one of those the Who Framed Roger Rabbit situations, or what was the other one with Brad Pitt, where the cartoon world,
Yeah, Cool World.
Cool World, yeah. Fucking Abbott was like, he went right through. Like
I
he
had
could
to
have
like
with the big beard and the glasses. Like, I'm not bad. They just draw me this way.
I had to like Google, be like, did they know this guy? Is the character based on him? Is he like someone's neighbor and just always rocking the fucking and on a tank? No, when
I'll admit, I was like, yo, those fucking round glasses are pretty fire. I wonder if I can pull them off. Let's see. Order them up. Let's
and it
go.
turns out you fucking can.
Well,
it's literally Abbott, you, and the late great Brian Pillman are the only three I want to see rocking round glasses. And if you're Brian Pillman, you need the one that flaps up with the bullets. I will never fucking pretend I don't look for excuses to love something, but when it hits me as like, oh no, like this series is gonna be, it's going to be on that list of things that every 2 years I'm going to get itchy to be like, let me fucking check in again with Sweet Tooth. Like when the show's over and hopefully goes 100 seasons, I'll be the cat that like, oh, fucking season 15's coming. Let me slowly start chomping away at season 1 to get
But
to rewatch. My rewatch is my bread and butter.
That's the binge move. Oh, season 2 is coming out. Let me go ahead and recharge the old mutant batteries, and let me go ahead. That's my shit with fucking God. There's so many great BBC shows like that, because sometimes they'll go off the air and you're like, am I ever fucking going to see like what happens now? And then all of a sudden, like 6 years later, you're like, oh shit, they made another season. Then you have to refresh your memory. But yeah, no, I can't wait for the next season, especially since they dropped it all like Easter candy, right? Like regular candy, you just ease it through. You're like, oh, make it last the week. You're not getting anything else. Easter candy, you're like, give me that fucking basket. I'm going to give myself Netflix diabetes as fast as I possibly can, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
I literally watched the last episode of that season, and I was like, ooh, boy, I can't wait to start this again. And I'm already 2 episodes in. I've already returned to the world of Sweet Tooth.
Nice.
Because that's, then when we get to season 2, I'm the idiot who's like, well, if you remember, those laces were red, and now they're purple.
Ooh.
I'm fine with being a loser, baby. I'm fine with being a loser. But you, lovely people, are not losers, because you probably have hit share. You've probably hit like. You probably tune in week after week. And now your next mission is to bring people into our little animal zoo here at US Comics Cast. Every Wednesday, audio episode is up first thing in the morning. It is up before you are every Wednesday morning and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're right here on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. You want us there? Let us know. We'll go wherever else. I'll show up at your house. I'll do a show right in front of you. But my dear brother, there is only one way that we end each and every episode of US Comics Cast. And why don't you tell these lovely people how that is?
It is so simple. First, you got to turn the power on. You got to turn the volume up. You got to tune Bad Mary in, open up the window wide, and scream out into the night sky, save me, space girl. We out.